Hey guys, welcome to a new video, and you may have noticed in each video so far I swapped my characters about, and this time I've switched to my Druid, who will be going face to face with Beastlord Darmac. Now at certain health increments, which is 85, 65 and 45%, the boss will choose a prime beast and mount them, which we have to kill, but they aren't too difficult, just be wary of what they do and once they grant the boss once they're dead. Now these are Rend and Tear from the Warg, which puts a bleed on 7 melee and 7 random range players, Tantrum from the Elk, which is an AoE ability and can deal a bit of damage to the whole raid, and Super Heated Shrapnel from the Rylak, which is a cone of fire from the boss that also puts a dot on you. Once you've killed all the Prime Beasts, you will have to contend with the boss himself, who has gained all of these Prime Beast abilities. Now along with this, you'll have to deal with mechanics such as Call the Pack, where the boss calls several smaller animals to the fight, and these should be nuked as soon as possible, but don't worry about them too much as they don't deal too much damage to anyone. And also, every 20 seconds the boss will use his pin down ability, which is 2 spears hurled at 2 random ranged players, and if they do not dodge it they'll be pinned down and require the other DPS to break them free.
Let's play pinball.
Now this boss is fun, but there are lots of ads to contend with, so DPS, get your damage meters ready. What shouldn't have gone unnoticed is the fact that you'll be fighting on a set of train tracks and you will always have to be conscious about where you are and where these trains will be. So along with the boss in these moving trains, you will have to deal with reinforcements. Some of these are called Iron Raiders, which throw grenades which deal splash damage, Iron Crack Shots, which will snipe players who have aggro on them and also throw grenades at the same time, Gromcar Fire Menders, who cast cauterizing bolts which will heal their allies but also damages them, so if you can dispel their targets they'll lose all the healing and take all the damage. Iron Gunnery Sergeants, which who sit in cannons and the ranged DPS will have to focus them down. And finally the Gromcar Man-at-Arms, which is probably the most important ad of them all. He has to die as soon as possible as he targets tanks and melee DPS with his abilities Rectus, Slash and Iron Bellow. While these ads are active, Thorgar will buff them, so ideally want to deal with these ads as fast as you can. But along with this, the boss has an ability called Prototype Pulse Grenade, which everyone should avoid, especially when there is a train coming, as this little device pulls you into its radius in hopes that you get sucked in and smashed by an oncoming train.
You scored 0. You scored 0.
And here we are at the single most annoying and most hated boss of Blackrock Foundry, the Iron Maidens. Now this fight consists of 3 separate bosses who do not share health values. Now during this fight at the 1, the 420 and the 740 minute markers, the boss with the lowest health will travel to the ship that is docked. A small group of players must go over to the ship aptly named the Dreadnought and kill the ads over there and interrupt the ability warming up so the whole raid doesn't wipe. Now during this phase back at the 2 remaining bosses, the ship will target random locations which will be announced as Bombardment Pattern Alpha and Bombardment Pattern Omega. Once a red circle appears, get out of it as soon as possible, and once the bombs have landed, a second set of red circles will appear in a larger quantity. You will want to remember the previous location of the first set of bombs and run to the area, as it will not be bombed twice in the same place. But once a bombardment pattern alpha comes round again, it will reset all these locations. All bosses do not share health but should be DPS down evenly. Once they reach 20% health, it will activate their ability Iron Will, which means for every 20 seconds of the fight, their damage will increase by 1%. Throughout this encounter you will also have to contend with Marac's Blood Ritual, which targets a random player and after a 5-second cast will deal heavy amounts of damage in the direction of the said player. Ideally you want to have this in line with the tank that is tanking Marac and for all other players to move. Garan's Rapid Fire ability targets a random player and will bombard them with 10 heavy duty shells that you will want to move away from the group and also kite to not be struck yourself, preferably around the edges of the room. Sorka's ability is a bit less worrying, it's called Blade Dash and she'll teleport to a random player dealing some damage and teleport to the tank dealing the same amount. When the bosses gain more fury, they also gain more ability. At 30 fury, Marac gains the Blood-Soaked Heatseeker ability, which is an axe that is thrown and bounces off 3 random players. The closer these players are to each other and the boss, the more damage you take, so ideally you want to spread out and fast for this one. Sorka gains Convulsive Shadows, which is a dot that will tick off the player when it deals damage, but if it is dispelled it will instantly deal the total sum of damage that the stack was originally going to do. But if you do this, it will increase the damage done afterwards, so do not dispel this. Garan will gain Penetrating Shot, which targets a random player that will be traced by a laser beam and will deal heavy amounts of damage unless the raid splits the damage by standing in front of it. Once at 100 fury, or when Iron Will activates, Marac will gain the ability Sanguine Strikes, which deals a heavy amount of damage to the whole raid, so the healers get ready to pop some cooldowns. Sorka will then gain Dark Hunt, which targets a player and after 8 seconds will teleport to them and deal a lot of damage, so if you are targeted, use a personal cooldown to save yourself. Garan's ability is probably the worst, especially for melee, and that is Deploy Turret, which is when the boss will deploy a turret at a random location and all ranged must nuke this turret, because if melee get close to it, it is a left-right goodnight and it is show over for lane.
It's when we face the eye, I hold you in my chest. All my life I've been so cold. I break the hourglass, so much time unfold, and I try to make it back in this raging sea, 'cause I'm way too deep, 'cause I'm way too deep. Lost my friend so close to me. They say find happiness and faith. What the hell is that supposed to mean to me? And everything is grey, nothing is in color. Believe me when I say I'm not like any other. Try to settle down and try to get some rest. You lay with open eyes, head against my chest.
Thank you guys for watching, I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.